Good afternoon, everybody. This is old Granddaddy. We're trying something new here. Some things I've been wanting to do for a long time, just to hopefully give people a little enjoyment, a little pleasure, something to kill time with, and also learn some things about days gone by, things that I remember growing up as a child and right on through current times. I know my grandchildren like to sit around and listen to me talk, as I did my grandparents and any of the older people. They used to really be intrigued by some of the stories, some of the things they experienced growing up. What I'll cover is anything anybody wants to talk about, but also, the things that we encounter and do every day, but we don't particularly realize, the importance of it until it's all gone, said and done. But I mostly want to do this for my grandchildren, for my family, so they have something to remember us by and remember them old days, and some things that they'll never experience, some things that people don't even know how to do anymore. I appreciate you being here. The reason for the curtain is, at least in the initial stages, we want people to try to figure out who it might be. I know I'll have family members and people that know me quite well and know who it is immediately, but for a lot of people, it will remind them probably of someone in their family or somebody they knew growing up. Some of the stories will be, maybe not the same, but relative to things that went on during that time. We'll discuss such things as words and what they mean, different places and things that happen. Everything's going to be based on or around factual events. Some of it will be just stories handed down through the generations as it was related to me. Some of it will be, a lot of it will be actual life experiences of mine, and I'll put it together best I can from memory. Some of it will be 100% right. Some of it I'll have to fill in some gaps, but we're going to do the best we can do with this, and hopefully everybody have a little enjoyment, something to do on the phones and computers other than just same old thing you've been doing. And my wife would call her grandma ever since our first grandchild was born. I'm Granddaddy, and that's Grandma. She's helping me with this, and she said I need to tell some of the stories that I've told before. To me, I don't see that much to it, but some of it is quite enjoyable. A lot of it is very, very informative, the way things people used to do. I remember one instance years ago when I was a child, growing on up, but there was a time in this country that a lot simpler life, and I can remember the first telephone that anybody got in town. I remember the first air conditioner that come to town was in a drugstore. The only place anybody could go see or feel or know what air conditioning was. Remember when somebody got the first television, and not that it wasn't already probably a pretty prevalent thing across the country in some areas, but we were in a very small rural community in one of these little country counties that everybody knew everybody. You could count on all your fingers and toes all the families that lived and settled there. Of course, now it's changed greatly, and there's more people there you don't know than there's people you do know that you grew up with. But it's the same everywhere, I guess. We had a lot of good times, a lot of hard times, but when you're having hard times, you don't know the hard times. If everybody's going through it, what's the old adage? Pigs don't know pigs stink. You don't miss what you never had. So we were quite happy, and no matter what your circumstance, there's always someone in worse shape. There's always someone in better shape. Another reason I want to do this is I wasn't expected to live very long here some years back, and I had severe health problems off and on for many years, and had lost my voice for a long time. About a period of about 3 years I couldn't talk, and he said I never would, but I can. So want to take advantage of that while I can. My mind's not sharp anymore. I don't know if it was ever real sharp, but it's far less than it used to be since I had a stroke. And first one thing and another, and my voice is not as good. I've actually done a little preaching in the past. I used to be somewhat of a motivational speaker. I've done motivational speeches and sales speeches for, up to probably 5,000, 6,000 people at a time. Can't do it anymore. My mind won't focus enough. I lose my train of thought. But we're going to try to piece some things together here, and hopefully if you have any questions or concerns, send them in. What I was trying to get to a while ago, and you see me jumping around a lot, don't mean to be doing a bad job. That's just the best I can do. But we used to have what they call cane grindings. I know a lot of you don't know what a cane grinding is, but a lot of you elderly people, we call them seasoned citizens, they call them now. A lot of you that, especially those that come out of rural areas and farm families, you'll probably be able to relate to a cane grinding. And we'd have them at different places, not every farmstead had its own setup to make syrup, which was the main purpose of the cane grinding, was put up the syrup or molasses for that year. And of course everybody grew their cane, and we'd haul it on mules and wagons, or later on they pulled it with old trucks and tractors. And I used to be very intrigued about the cane grinding when I was a child growing up. I remember that was one of the only other times I ever seen, only 2 times I ever seen my granddaddy. This was on my father's side of the family, which that's the family that I grew up with closest to. The only 2 times, twice a year that I ever remember Granddaddy having some fun, getting a little buzz on, a little drinking we'd call it, was cane grinding. About the 3rd or 4th day after the cane skimmings had time to sit and ferment a little bit, the older men at the event there, which were the main ones that was making everything happen, they get into the skimmings, they called it, and which by then would be fermenting quite along, and they'd have a good time. I know they were tired and give out, but they'd go right on to way up into the night, talking and working, and once in a while have a little picking, a little dancing, trying to sing a little bit sometime, but never anybody got unruly. Never was any of the kind of things we associate with people drinking and so-called having a good time now, but everything was in moderation. That was one time of the year. Usually lasted, cane grinding usually started one Friday or Saturday and run probably till the next Friday or Saturday. There'd be several families involved, and everybody get their syrup put up for the year. We had syrup kettles, and I remember one of the old mules they had there running the cane mill. He knew his job. All they had to do was talk to him, and he'd walk that circle as long as they kept him hooked to that pole, which was nothing more than an old long piece of a oak limb fastened to the grinder, and all he had to do was walk round and around, keep it going, and somebody up under there feeding the cane to it, and somebody else had to haul off the peelings and the what they call it, the chaff from it, and the juice went down a trough into some vats, and they dip it out and put it in the where they had evaporators or where they had syrup kettles, and have them fired up and just continually making syrup. But old mule never hardly break a sweat. Of course, most of it was done in the fall of the year or late winter sometime, depending on how the crops went and how the season were. But once in a while, one of us little fellas was lucky. They let us sit up there and hold on to the hames and ride that mule around a little bit on that cane grinder. That was always a big deal. you know, for a little fella. It's amazing how bad and tough a cowboy can be when he's 4, 5, 6 years old, riding on a mule, an old raw bony mule, holding on to a set of hames. But a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that. And of course, you know, like little fellas when they gathered up somewhere, because we had jobs to do from different times, you know, cleaning up, moving, and going and keeping the wood pile caught up and that kind of thing. Because it took a lot of firewood to cook that syrup off, cook all that juice. And the women folk would be cooking. And I remember the place that we used to have it at was down in the edge of what they called the quarters back then, which was just a community where a lot of the black people lived that used to work on the farms. And this was in the days between the days of when the emancipation come along and people were set free. And some of the best days of my life, I remember, we didn't know anything about any animosity between races. Some of my best friends growing up, my granddaddy, I remember my granddaddy died. It rained all day and all night. And they were probably, because he was close to him, he tried to help any way he could. Of course, back then, a man was doing good just to feed his family, but there was as many, if not more, black people that were dear to our family was at that funeral as it was white people. And it was quite a gathering, quite a testament to my granddaddy, I thought. Came to understand that more and better as time went on. Anyway, I need to sign off now. She gave me the signal that my time's up. And I do give out pretty quick, but be with us, folks. Follow us along. Give us a like and share it, and you will, what you call it?
Subscribe.
Subscribe to us. And I'm not very, you know, you can tell I've never done this before, but they tell me that you always want to say like and share and subscribe, because we hope to be able to keep this thing going. And mostly we're doing it for fun, and for, I guess I'm doing it probably more for myself than anything else. But y'all come back to see us, and this is Granddaddy signing off. And like I say, try to figure out who it is. Get your friends to look across the country and see if they can guess who that might be. I guarantee it'll remind them of some times that they thought they'd forgotten about as we go through some of these things. But just get back with us, and let's do it again.